Yes, people, welcome back to Thai Sports. It's the first preview of the season. I wasn't even planning on doing many previews, on honest people, but it's a big game, first game of the season. Man United, Arsenal. We all know what the rivalry's like. We all know what people, even Liverpool fans, Spurs fans, Chelsea, the whole country's going to be watching. So I had to do a preview, and I thought, do you know what? I love people with balanced views, real opinions, and I had to get on Dan Potts. So guys, if you don't know him, please go and subscribe. Please make sure you check out. It's going to be down there below his channel. Obviously, you can see his profiles there. Dan Potts, Dan Arsenal 87 on Twitter as well. But yeah, great balanced guy, has great opinions, and also has views and people on from other clubs as well. So Dan, I appreciate you coming on. And like we said backstage, it's been a while, bro.
Too long, bruv. Too long. And big up to you for doing your own thing. I'm glad to see that you've got your own channel, man, and you're smashing it. It's great to see. Make sure that you're showing some love, people, and hitting like and subscribing, getting tied up to 5K, which I think is your target, your next
that's
target.
my target. So definitely this year.
Big up to you. So. And it's a pleasure to be on, man. The football season's back and we've enjoyed the summer. Let's get to it, man.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? It's been a nice break. Do you know what? I've actually enjoyed the fact that to be fair, there's not been a Euros or a World Cup, because I feel like we've all been able to like reset, recharge, and now like we're buzzing for the Premier League season. And I think that's what everyone's feeling like now. Transfers are warming up, teams are getting really active, and the bread and butter is here. Arsenal, City, Liverpool. There's 3 teams of Chelsea sniffing, trying to go for this Premier League crown. I don't have a clear favourite, even though Liverpool are favourites. And obviously, we're going to talk about you lot and our lot. We've gone into the transfer window after finishing 15th, spent 190 million on 3 starters, and now we're looking like, right, we need to push for top 6. If we get Baleba, are people looking at us as top 5, potentially top 4? I don't think so, but people will be talking about it. So the first big game of the season is Manchester United Arsenal at Old Trafford, 4:30 on a Sunday. And I'll be honest with you, I'm so looking forward to it, but I'm so not at the same time, because I think on the first game of the season, Dan, we've seen it plenty of times. Anything can kind of happen. Teams are a little bit cold. And look, I look back to last season, because I'm going to Spain tomorrow, and I remember Chelsea played City, and they had Nkunku, and they had all them guys starting. And the first half, they were good against City, and I was thinking they should be 1 up. Obviously, evidently, City went on and won 2-0 in the end at Stamford Bridge. But it was that sort of first game feeling. Could Chelsea catch him at the right time? And that's how I've got to think of it as a Man United fan. We're not better than Arsenal, and I'm going to respect Arsenal. But in a one-off game, anything can happen. So, yeah, bro, like, how are you feeling initially, like with your just generic thoughts before you break it down and go into the transfer market as well? Like, how are you feeling going into Sunday?
Never confident, because it's Manchester United. And people might laugh at that and think, what, the team that come 15th, 16th last season and were a shambles. And it isn't really about the facts of how you're performing. I know for a fact that in the last 20 years, there's been times where Manchester United have been horrendous to play, and there's been times where Manchester United have been easy to play. We've never found it easy, whether it was hard or easy, against the Manchester United side that, let's be real, has been in turmoil for quite some time now. And I think that when you go into a game like that, you know the rivalry, and I know that it's not geographical, but if you look at the history of these two clubs, the way that they were under Wenger and Fergie, trust me, bro, they were proper rivals. And I look at the Vieira and Keane days, and now I look at the scenarios.
Even Van Nistelrooy with a missed pen, I'll never forget that.
Yeah. And I grew up on that. Keown and Van Nistelrooy and Keane and Vieira, and we had unbelievable players that weren't even fighting each other, but were just quality to watch. We had Henry, you had the likes of Ronaldo, Giggs and Bergkamp.
Ashley Cole was brilliant against him.
Incredible, bro. So I look at the players now, and I look at them thinking, I did a combined 11 back in the 90s, 2000s. It'd be genuinely really interesting. You do a combined 11 now, it's like embarrassment, really, isn't it? Like Madueke or Garnacho, do you know what I mean? Or, Martinelli, or you know what I'm saying? Or Dorgu, whatever. I'm just like, what is going on here, man? It's just embarrassing, really. But look, both teams have made some good signings, I've got to be honest. I don't think that the transfer window is done for either of us. I think there's still stuff to go. I think there's still players will get in. Obviously, you've got links with Baleba, we got links with Eze, which I'm sure we'll get into. But in terms of who's come into the side now, I think this is going to be Gyökeres versus Sesko, isn't it? And I think a lot of first, or which of those two is going to deliver first. And normally when that happens, it's 0-0 and neither striker scores. But I do think it's going to be interesting to see what happens, bro, because I think that there's a lot of talk about Gyökeres wanting Arsenal over Manchester United, a lot of talk over Sesko being wanted by Arsenal but ending up at Manchester United. On top of that, you've got goal-scoring, attacking midfielders in Cunha and Mbeumo, and obviously you've got Bruno Fernandes who scores goals as well. So I don't think Manchester United are going to struggle to score goals this season. I just don't. I don't think you can. If you don't score goals, I think Amorim is a massive, massive issue, to be honest. But for this game, in isolation, I do feel like this could be a real tough battle for Arsenal because I think this is a different Manchester United setup, and attacking wise, it was quite pitiful last season. Whether it was Sancho,
44
Garnacho,
goals in
Rashford,
total we scored last year. 44, horrendous.
Horrendous, embarrassing, not good enough. And Manchester United last season were a laughing stock. Let's have it right. It was embarrassing. And, they gave Tottenham their biggest night in history by doing something unthinkable that I never thought was going to happen. So, that for me as an Arsenal fan was horrific to go through. So thanks for that, Ty. And, it's one of those, bro.
Kit, mate.
Oh, yeah. A lot of Man United fans are
I'm
even
wearing
saying...
a PSG kit, so hopefully Tottenham we're supporting PSG over Tottenham tonight.
100%, bro. Yeah, we want PSG all day. But I must admit, Man United fans were saying to me, Potts, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm sorry, we've been awful. Like, I thought we beat them. I thought we beat Tottenham, and to not beat them was crazy. And it's such a dusty final as well.
It was poor. We had more of the ball, didn't create much. And you're right. This is why now it's like you're bang on. We've got to start on the front foot, and there's no better time morally to beat Arsenal going into the first game of the season. If you do that, it sets a precedent because we've got one game a week. We've got no Europe now, which is going to allow Ruben Amorim. Because look, the one thing I will say, people know, is that I'm still behind Ruben Amorim. I'm willing to give him a first season, full season, pre-season, signings, and now you've got to coach and adapt and get these players performing. So with one game a week now and starting at home against Arsenal, it's the perfect time to say, right, if you win, it gives you the confidence going into the Fulham away game, which is the away game next on another Super Sunday. We all know Craven Cottage can be tricky. If they go 1-0 up, they're not the type of team you want to be trying to claw back a victory against. So when I look at it, it's like with our season now and the signings we've made, it can be a pro and it can be a con, because I was even saying to Saeed and the other guys yesterday, if you win your games, it's good because you're like, right, we've got 1 week to reset, 1 week to train, and then you're fully fit going into the next game. If you don't win them games, and for example, Arsenal go and beat us Sunday, then we go to tricky Fulham, lose that. All of a sudden, you start becoming agitated. We've all played FIFA when we were younger. You lost to your mate. You knock your door at your mate's house. You lose a game. You want to play a rematch straight away. You're not waiting a week. You want to get back on there and get that victory. If Man United get into a habit of not beating Arsenal, not beating Fulham, fans get irritated, players then get irritable, then you start overthinking, then you start overplaying, and you try and force it to try and get victories. And that's why I think it's a big year for Man United, because it could really work having a 1 game a week and having time to reset. But also at the same time, if you don't pick up momentum and win games, you can find yourself basically always chasing your tail, and you're never going to be able to really pick it up. And look, what we've done this summer, if you had said to me, Dan, in May, you're going to get Cunha, you're going to get Sesko, and you're going to get Mbeumo, I would have said yes, like 100%. Because, yes, I know everyone says, but you're Manchester United. The name is Manchester United. I'm a real fan. The quality on the pitch is not Manchester United and not what I've been used to. Not saying that I should be used to anything. I'm grateful. But at the end of the day, it's not what we've been used to. So to get them 3 signings in, Cunha, I've always said to people, we need Premier League proven now, because we went away from that Dutch league and Italian league. Cunha, Premier League proven, mid-20s, 15 of goals last season in the league. Mbeumo, yes, he was on pens, but we got 20 goals from him. Sesko, one of the hottest young under-23 strikers in Europe. He's never hit 15 goals in the league. I'm hoping that he can potentially get 15. I think that would be a good return in his first season. And we can go from there, because like you said, we didn't score goals last year. There was no game where I was relaxed, where, you could be watching Arsenal at home to Fulham, potentially, and be 2-0 up at half-time, points are in the bag. Man United, it's always begging for the final whistle. It's always open. It's always tense. And that's why I think, even though we've got the forwards, the midfield is the problem for me. And I think this is where I have to talk about Arsenal. And I think where the game could be won and lost, because breaking it down tactically, we're playing with this, back 5, 2 in midfield, 3 in attack. Casemiro, Bruno, Agate, Bruno, Mainu, Agate, whoever it is in there, I'm sorry, but the midfield is simply not good enough, which is why we're linked to Baleba. There's not enough legs in there. There's not enough control. I think it's so underrated. I'm a big Michael Carrick fan, one of the underappreciated players in English football for me. And we've never replaced him. We've tried Schweinsteiger, Fellaini, Matic, Casemiro even, Schneidlin. There's been players that have come in and tried, and we just still haven't got that person that can just say, calm it down. You've now got Zubimendi. You've now got Rice. You've got Odegaard. And you look at that midfield, and that's got everything you want. It's got a controlling six. He's going to calm the tempo down, can pick up great positions, pass through the lines. Rice, now he can do what he wants to do. Get up and down that pitch. Use his engine. I'm not the biggest Rice fan in terms of technically on the ball and stuff, but as an engine and an all-round centre mid, very good player. And you've got Odegaard. If he can get back to being Odegaard, which is the David Silva number, left number 10, controlling the tempo, passing through the lines, releasing Saka, now Gyökeres, you guys should have the control of the game in the midfield. And I think that's where the game can be won and lost. High turnovers from us, high pressing from you lot. And you guys probably just being clinical and eventually picking us off. And look, I should come here and people might say have more chests. But Dan, I've got to be real. We're going to rely on moments. You're going to rely on what's got you to finishing second the last few seasons. And that's that consistency.
Yeah, look, we're going to have a lot of the possession of the ball. I don't think there's any team, whether they're better than us, weaker than us, that don't allow Arsenal to play football. And what I mean by play football in 2022-23 was dangerous. It was frightening, scintillating.
Yeah.
But of the last few seasons, you give Arsenal the ball and it's not always dangerous. Do you know what I mean? So I think you put in your low block, you make it difficult for us. Amorim will do that. I don't think Amorim's going to come out flying. I think he's going to make it difficult for us and be rigid. And I think it'll be a kind of defensive mind. But I also do think that Arsenal have definitely got some weapons now that can allow us to be a lot more attacking. And I want to see that. Now, I've mentioned at the weekend when we played Bilbao that I was impressed by our midfield trio, which you've just mentioned, because Rice, I don't like Rice in the attacking Frank Lampard role. He ain't that player for me. I do think, you're right in terms of his technical ability. Now, he's technically different. When you took the top bins he put in against Real Madrid is technically gifted, right? However, you don't look at him like Ronaldinho on the ball. So he's more of a destroyer, and off the ball he's fantastic. But if he's dropping deeper like he was with Zubimendi the other day, I liked what they were both doing because they kind of did two pistons of an engine. That's what I want to be seeing at Arsenal. Then, of course, you've got Odegaard who can be floating towards the left as opposed to just sticking out on the right. So I think that worked more like in a 4-2-3-1 at the weekend. Our left-hand side's still a bit dead. Martinelli's got to pick up his form like Odegaard, but Saka's always dangerous, and I think Gyökeres is going to bang. So I think we're in a position where we should be a lot more confident with that. Defensively, we're always good and we're always strong.
Yes,
I don't think there's going to be anybody that's going to deny that Arsenal aren't good defensively. We've bloody bought enough players in that position. So you'd like to think we are decent. So I think that's fair to say. As for Manchester United this season and for this game, I'm interested. I've got to be honest, because I said to Saeed,
and when you add on that as well, at the end of your point, who are you most fearing as well? I want to know from a Manchester United standpoint as well.
Sure. So I suppose I said to Saeed, I think Manchester United are going to play trick or treat in October. And I think it's either going to be, do you know what I mean? It's going to be
elaborate on this. Where's this going?
Well, I think you're gonna say treat this is working or it's a nasty trick and let's sack him.
Okay.
I truly believe that, right? And I'm not saying that Amorim's a fraud. I just don't think I've been impressed. I think it's hard to make you worse than you were under Ten Hag, and somehow he did that, right? Now, he didn't have his players. He had Dorgu. That was the only one who came in. Now he's got some players that he can work with. So I'm genuinely interested and intrigued. I haven't seen any of you in pre-season, so I don't know what you've been doing and what you're looking at. But if I was to select the people that are a threat, it has to be Bruno Fernandes because he's always a threat against us. He always has a chance of scoring, whether it's from a set piece or whether it's from his quality. I do think individually he's a quality player. You look at the stats of the last few years. I know it's not.
It's true. People might not like him, but he does stand up and be counted.
He delivers, right? He delivers. And I have to say, Cunha and Mbeumo, because they've both been a threat for both Wolves and Brentford. They were Premier League proven players. I appreciate and understand that they're not playing for Brentford and Wolves now. They're playing for Manchester United, and we've seen, that can change things and make it harder, right? But I do genuinely believe that. I'm not going to say Sesko's a threat because I didn't want him at Arsenal, and I genuinely don't know what he's going to be like. I didn't want him at Arsenal, not because I think he's crap, by the way. I didn't want him at Arsenal because I didn't think he's ready.
The unknown quantity a bit, really.
Precisely. So Gyökeres and Sesko are both risks, right? Because they've not played in the Premier League. I would say that the one who's banging in goals is probably the less risk than the other one. So that's why.
Let me ask you a question on this as well. I'm glad you brought up Sesko and Gyökeres because I was talking to Just, who was on. That's why I redirected to you yesterday.
Yeah, love, bro. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. That's why. So it was an interesting one because me and him are having a debate with Roms and George. Now Gyökeres is coming to Arsenal. Sesko's coming to Manchester United, and so is Mbeumo. I'm going to ask you because I hope you haven't watched the clip. In terms of Premier League goals, what would you say, Gyökeres, we should be expecting? Sesko and Mbeumo, because I'm interested on what your take is compared to what we were debating yesterday.
I'll start with Gyökeres and I'll come to the other two because they're at Manchester United. I think Gyökeres has to get a bare minimum of 15 Premier League goals. And I'll tell you why
I've said
15.
20. Okay.
I'll tell you why I've said 15. And that's bare minimum, by the way. I expect more than 15. But the reason I've said that is because Havertz got 14. And it's Havertz. Right, Havertz got 14 and as a number 9 for Arsenal. So if he's coming in and getting 15, I'm not going to wet the bed about it. I'm going to say fair, respectable for the first season. Would prefer more. I think overall in all competitions, he's got to be in the late 20s, right? You can't be looking at him saying that, he got to get 15 Premier League goals and that's enough. That's not enough. He's got to score more in the other competitions as well. But I think you've got to look at the bare minimum. I'd be disappointed if he only got 15. I think he should be aiming for 20 as well.
So you think 20
however,
fair?
I think, I'm trying to be fair for his first season in a new league. Everyone's telling me he's Darwin Nunez. So I'm trying to look at him thinking, well, if he's going to be that, they can't expect much from him. But everyone says he's Darwin Nunez, but he's got to get 30 goals. Well, what one is it? Because if he's Darwin Nunez, he isn't going to get 30 goals, right? So I think for me, you've got to be realistic. I think a minimum expectation is to get 15 Premier League goals. I think he will quite easily do that. I do, because I think that at Arsenal, if Mourinho and Havertz can get 9 goals and 14 goals in the Premier League, I think this guy should be aiming for 20. If I'm honest, if he doesn't get 20, I'm not going
to get more chances than the others got for themselves.
Exactly, and we're creating more. Like now, we've got Zubimendi in. We've got hopefully Ødegaard and Rice in more better positions. Saka's fitter. Martinelli are question marks, but there's a lot of rumours we're going to be bringing in another player. And then, of course, you've got Gyökeres. So I don't think there's any excuses about Arsenal not scoring goals this season. As for Sesko, I genuinely think he just needs to hit double figures at Manchester United. If I'm honest,
no, that's fair.
Season.
I
don't think you can expect this guy to come in at 21 years old to a new league, scoring 13 in the Bundesliga, to then go, we need to get 25 for Manchester United. I think if he hits double figures with some assists, then it's all good. But I think with Man United, what they've got to do is goals by committee. So I think what Manchester United need is, you know what I'm saying? So you need 10, 15 from Cunha. You need 10, 15 from Mbeumo. That's what I'm expecting from United. I think if they got 35 between all three of them, I think that would be a very good season for Man United in terms of goals.
Yeah, because I said 40. I said 40 between all of them. And then for Gyökeres, I said get 20. And then Just was saying, he expects 20 as well. But he said Sesko and Gyökeres both should be getting 20 because Sesko costs that much. I said, no, it's a collective. We've brought in strikers. He's never done it before, like you said. But we've got Mbeumo and Cunha. From scoring 44 in total last year to bringing in them 3. That should hopefully bring 35, 40, like you said. Then your Bruno's chip in, your Amads. So, now that's fair, Dan. Now, I wanted to ask you that because I thought it was quite an interesting discussion because, like you said, people set different expectations, which they can. It's football debates, and that's what we talk about. And then in terms of, Arsenal, I do want to ask you because you're talking about the left wing side, right? And look, the ultimate aim for you lot is to win the Premier League this season. I don't know your stance on if Arteta don't win it, you Arteta out. I don't do really all that. But the truth is, your aim as a football fan and what Arsenal are trying to do now is win that Premier League. You've got a great defence. You've got Zubimendi in midfield. You've got your striker. But for me, I've said as well, you're missing that one more spark because I do believe that your team is very good in terms of the 11. But at left-hand side, I've said Rodrigo or Eze. The reason I've said you need to go for one of them is because Eze can play on the left. We know he's a great dribbler. We know he's got the flair as well and the creativity. And he's kind of got that freestyle feel that you go to a cage. And it's don't take that away from a player. Let them be them. And I think Arsenal fans would like that. And he can do that. He can also play 10. And the reason I say that is because Ødegaard, now I really like Ødegaard, but he goes through waves. And I feel like because he hasn't had that depth of quality next to him or rivaling him, he's able to coast at times. And, he don't want to coast. He wants to be pushing himself through. And that's why I think him, Eze, or Rodrigo, they'll be perfect because they can play both roles in the left and in the 10. Now, do you think that could be the difference between you lot winning the title and not if you don't get a left hand or slash number 10 in?
So I'll answer this in a different way. I'm with you, Eze and Rodrigo are the guys that I'm looking at. Okay, I'm actually looking at both. I think that's probably a pipe dream, but I do think that that's what we need. Eze, I do see him more centrally, and I think Rodrigo is an out-and-out winger. I do think Eze can play from the left, but I don't think he's a proper winger. When you speak to Palace fans, they'll say he's better centrally and all of that. Now, I know he comes off from the left, and there's no doubt and he can do it, and there's no denying he's probably an upgrade on what we've got. However, I think Eze and Ødegaard in that kind of middle row, you've still got Ethan and Max, but they're very young. Obviously, okay, and Saka, and then you've got Martinelli, who looks like he's staying, Trossard's leaving, and then obviously you bring in Rodrigo, and that's what the dream is for me now. We bring in Eze and Rodrigo. I've got a great chance, I think.
Even just Rodrigo, I think it would be an absolute game changer.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. This, to be honest with you, Ty, if we don't do anything else, this team's good enough to win a trophy. It might not be good enough to win a Premier League or a Champions League. It is good enough to win a trophy, because if Eddie Howe can do it at Newcastle, and Glasner can do it at Palace, and Ange can do it with Spurs, and Maresca can do it in phase 1 with Chelsea, I think we've got a good enough squad now to win a trophy, even if it's a Carabao Cup, right? However, I don't think it's quite good enough to go and do something in the Champions League or the Premier League. But I'll say this. This might be a crazy one, and Arsenal fans might not like me saying this, but even if we bought Eze and Rodrigo, I'll go one further. Even if Haaland come into the Arsenal and Mbappe was on the left, I don't think Arsenal will win the Premier League because of one reason and one reason only. The manager, bruv. This manager has proven to me time and time again that it is nothing to do with the individual players. It is the mentality that he brings in that just cannot get us across the line, bruv. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's the semi-final of a Carabao Cup, whether it's the semi-final of the Champions League, whether you're going on an unbeaten run and you still drop the ball in a Premier League run. This guy, when it matters, he fails and it doesn't deliver. And you can see that by some of the mentality of going to away grounds and not delivering. Away grounds at Manchester United, away grounds at St. James's Park, away grounds at Villa Park, playing Villa at home, big games at the Emirates. We seem to have just had to hit a stumbling block. And the thing is, it's a stumbling block at different eras. So when he's walked in at the first phase and he won with Emery's team, which everyone said wasn't his, which I think is harsh. I think he won us that fair and square, right? So he won that, and I thought, do you know what? He's installed winning mentality straight away. But what he's done since then is break that team up, spend nearly £900 million on it, and won nothing with them. You have to deliver now, and you have to prove.
And do you feel like with Arteta, which is unfortunate because of course you want him to win the league, you want him to do it, but does your gut tell you that no matter what happens and the signings you get in, he'll be the manager that sets up the next manager to do it, and you don't think he'll ever win a league?
And do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, Ty. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with going, I feel like I've hit a ceiling and I need a new challenge to go and grow in my professional career. He might not want to say that because he's stubborn and he's potentially ego.
Yeah, and he wants to be the first one that brings you that title.
He wants to do it, and I'd love him to do it. I want him to go with a quadruple, bruv. Yeah, of course I do. I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah, of course. But I just don't think that he's got it personally yet. I don't think he's ready yet, and I think Arsenal need to be ready this season. And if he isn't ready, I think it's time to go and get a Luis Enrique type manager that can go and get a team across the line. He might be the Brendan Rodgers, and we need our Klopp. That's what I'm at, right? I feel like that's what he could be. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we win everything. But I've seen this now for a while. He won that FA Cup, and he had a team that everyone said is not good enough. Break it up. You're not going to win the Premier League or the Champions League. Go and get a Carabao Cup, an FA Cup, or a Europa League. And he wasn't able to get any of those. We lost to Olympiacos in the Europa League. We lost to Sporting Lisbon with Amorim in the Europa League. Yeah. We lost to Unai Emery's Villarreal in the semi-finals of the Europa League. And since winning that FA Cup, how many games has he won in the FA Cup in that 5 years? Across the 5 FA Cup seasons, how many games have we won?
I don't think you've had much of a deep run.
Have a guess how many games in that 5 years. Obviously, there's about Okay, so you think we've won 6? I'll tell you how many we've won. Get ready to count them. 2. So in that 5 years, Arsenal have beaten Oxford and Palace and lost to everybody else in that 5 years that they won.
You've had quite a lot of third round exits then.
Well, we had a third round exit to Manchester United the season just gone. We had a third round exit to Liverpool the season before that. And a third round exit to Manchester City the season before that. Now, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely horrifically unlucky to get those 3 teams in the first round of the FA Cup 3 years running, right? Man United, Man City, and Liverpool. They're the last 3 you want in any time in the FA Cup. But we got them all in the first round. So we went out in those 3 years. Then we lost previously to that. We lost. Who did we lose to now? Can't even remember who it was now.
Yeah, but it's in general. No, it's right. In general,
yeah, Oxford and Palace, we beat them, and then we went out in those rounds. So it's
you as an Arsenal fan as well. You as an Arsenal fan, which I love because they're little things that I wouldn't really know because I follow football, and I follow Arsenal, but I don't know them little stats that are hidden under the Christmas tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And people are shocked by that. You know, I'll tell you who it was. We lost to Nottingham Forest and Southampton. So there's been some really bad performances in the FA Cup since he's won it. In the Carabao Cup, we got to the semi-final twice and we shit the bed against Liverpool and Newcastle. Last season, it was Newcastle. And this is a mentality.
Technically, it is make or break then this season, it feels like the vibe is. in general, really.
100%, bro. I
Yeah.
think the fan base have now woken up to that as well, bruv. That you have to go and deliver, otherwise it might be goodbye. Well, it's definitely. I would have sacked him last year, Ty. I got to be honest. I'd have sacked him last year.
Wow, Dan, you caught me
I
off
would have.
guard here.
No,
Yeah.
I would have. I've
And
had
I like
enough
it
of
because
him, to
I
be
know
honest.
you speak your mind. You don't do nothing for the cameras. That's what I like. You're pure, and that's how you feel, and that is how you feel. And it's good that you're very honest because obviously you're trying to uphold the standards, and people will probably watch me on Sky TV and stuff like that and say I'm the opposite to you. I am the one that accepts lower standards because I'm willing to give managers time, Amarim and so forth. But you know, this is football, and this is why I love it because you know we debate for contrasting opinions. We see what we want to hear, what people have to say, and you know, for you
Okay,
to
I'll give
be,
you an example, right? Let's say Amarim doesn't work. Let's just say it
yeah,
doesn't work. Okay. Um, I'm going to give you two options. You can go and get Diego Simeone from Atletico Madrid or Luis Enrique from PSG, somebody like that, Carlo Ancelotti, and he
yeah.
can take you for the next couple of years. Or you go and get the assistant manager of Manchester City. Don't know his name. I'll give him 5 years,
Pep
800.
Linders now.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Rinders. There you go. Linders, right?
Linders. Yeah,
So
yeah.
Linders. Okay, that's a great example. So Manchester United are hiring Linders. They're going to give him 5 years. Doesn't have to win anything. He can spend £900 million. No pressure. Which one are you taking? You're taking Luis
Yeah, I'm
Enrique.
going. I'm going
Right?
Luis Enrique.
Yeah. So I think that's where I'm at
Yeah,
now. And I'm not
good,
saying
good
that
take.
Arteta's not done a good job, but I don't want that to get
Yeah,
across because
but there's
he's
just
taken
a
us.
ceiling where you get to, and he's probably get
Where's
there, and then
where's the
you want to
next
just
bit?
be there now. And that, and to be honest, the way you've got to look at it as well, I will let you go shortly. Sorry, Dan.
No, it's
Is
calm.
that in terms of like the players as well? Like at the end of the day, a manager can be replaced. Players are harder to replace, and when you've got players like Gabriel, like Saliba, like Saka, like Odegaard, like Rice, now Yoker is in his peak of 27. You want to be showcasing some players, especially the ones I named first, that you can win trophies. You want to uphold your standards and be one of the best in the country because otherwise, unfortunately, the way football is, people will come in for Saka, people will come in for Saliba, people will come in for Gabriel, and reluctantly, yes, you don't want them to move on. But if they did eventually in 2 years from now, you're probably such a realistic fan. You'll say, do you know what? We had 4 years to try. And, you know, before you know it, they're going to be 30. So they need to win now. And before, you know, any injuries can happen as well. We've seen loads of players in our time, you know, get injured. Abu Dhabi, one of the best players I've seen get injured, you know, his career was done. These players never know when their last game is. So you need to start winning to keep these players as well, because managers can be replaced, but you want to keep your top players. And now it's a great discussion there, to be fair. And like, before we do wrap it up, then how do you see this game going? Because for me, from a United perspective, I agree with you. I think we're going to sit quite deep. I think we're going to try and run in transition. I think, you know, Zubimendi is going to start, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does from a physical standpoint, because actually people don't realize he's actually good in the air. He's good in his duels for a Spanish player as well. I think Mbumo and Cunha are going to be so key for us because we are going to have to run in transition. And what we lacked last year in terms of Man United, for me, from a standpoint, was ball carriers. We don't have people that can take us from this side of the pitch to that side of the pitch. And now, with Mbumo and Cunha that are ball carriers, got that mentality, Premier League proven as well, I'm hoping that they can make the difference, because what we didn't have in goals last year is what hopefully they can make up. What we didn't have in clinical finishing last year, I'm hoping they can make up. We are not going to get loads of chances, Dan. We have to take our moments. And the first thing I'm going to say is we have to score first. Going 1-0 down to Arsenal at Old Trafford is not going to be good. They're going to control the tempo, control the way the game is gone, and then they might go 2-0 up and shut up shop. We have to score first, and Mbumo and Cunha are going to be key for me. Midfield battle, I've already said that I think you win that. So we just have to sit deep, try and tuck in, and you know, be like a boxer, throw the counter punch.
Yeah, look, I think the midfield battle is key. I think the game could be won or lost in midfield, but I actually do not think. I mean, you're going to ask me for a prediction after this section, but I actually think we might cancel each other out on this one. I don't think either teams are ready. I'll be honest.
Rom
I
said the
don't
same
think.
to me.
Yeah, I don't think Man United look ready yet, and I don't think Arsenal do. In terms of fitness and togetherness and how they're playing, I don't think that you can go and change a front three, hardly play at all, and go right 4-0. And I don't think at the same time Arsenal can go and put in a new striker, a new midfielder, and then go and trounce you 4-0. So I do think this could be actually quite a tight game. I think Cunha and Mbeumo are going to be the two we have to keep quiet. I think for Arsenal, you've always got to look at highlighting Bukayo Saka, because if you can nullify Bukayo Saka, our attack is
That's
nowhere
going to be
near
a
as
good
good
battle,
when
by
he's
the way,
out.
Dorgu and him. Very good battle.
Very good battle. Yeah, very good. And I think Arsenal defensively are too good to concede 3, 4, 5 goals now. Like years ago, you might be able to, you know, we all recognize and remember how bad and vulnerable we were back then, but it's not like that now. It's hard to beat Arsenal, which is why I think it's going to be a very tight game. But the midfield battle for me is absolutely key. If Zubimendi and Rice and Odegaard turn up, individually and together as a department and complement each other, I think that we should have the advantage. But I do think it's going to be so tight, bro.
Yeah, fair. No, that's perfect. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go. If I was to be optimistic, 2-1 United is the only way we're gonna win because we're gonna concede. But I think it could be a 1-1 draw and a tense first game.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for is 1-1.
Okay.
And I don't know who's going to score first, if I'm honest, but I do think it's going to be tight. And I think both teams will keep it quite tight.
Yeah.
And I think both teams will have enough to score a goal. I don't think both teams will have enough for either one to win, but I hope I'm wrong, of course. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people would predict Arsenal to win this one off the
Yeah.
back of
Yeah.
Manchester
Fair.
United last season.
And
But
what your aspirations are. I hear that.
of course,
Yeah.
and what we've got to, we have to win, by the
Mm.
way. This isn't, I'll take a point, just get out there. No, we got to win. Like this, our first six for Man United as well is absolutely brutal. Arsenal and Man United's first six is absolutely
Yeah.
horrific.
If
Like,
you
you
get
know,
through it, it sets you up perfectly. This is how you got to
precisely.
think.
So
There you
you've got
go.
to try and take sort of 12 to 14 points out of that 18 points of available if you want to go for the title, in my opinion, for Arsenal's perspective. So we're going to have to beat Man United, you know, because, you know, it's fine beating Leeds and Forest and all this that we got in our first six, but we've got to go to Anfield, Old Trafford and St James's Park in our first six. And we've got Manchester City at home on top of that. That's horrific, you know.
Yeah,
So,
it's good.
yeah, it ain't good,
Premier
man. It
League
ain't good.
starting with a bang. It's going to be exciting. No,
It
that's
is.
great. Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed that. Watching this, please make sure you do smash a like. It does help me reach new audiences. Make sure you subscribe as well on the way to 5K. Please make sure you also show support to Dan as well. The 12th Man Football Podcast, always consistent, always got different panels on as well, and does a lot of Arsenal content, of course. So please make sure you go and subscribe. On his way to 50K, I think, if I'm right.
Hit 50 the other day, so now on the way to the big 6-0. So yeah,
there we
Cheers,
go.
man.
Love that. Half a
Cheers,
century is
man.
there now. Wicked. Congratulations, Dad, man.
Thanks,
Deserve
bro.
that. So no, guys, make sure you do like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Get your comments in as well and let us know. And everyone, stay healthy and enjoy the opening Premier League season.